This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen Gipp, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news. It's Monday, November 3rd, 2025, and here are today's stories. Mysterious drones are making headlines again, with new sightings showing unusual flight patterns and coordinated movements that have experts puzzled. In Greece, a new law now allows private sector employers to extend workdays to 13 hours, sparking heated debates about labor, health, and the cost of living crisis. Back in the U.S., changes to Medicare following the federal government shutdown means certain telehealth services are no longer covered, leaving patients across the country scrambling for care. And in your car, those sleek, glossy touchscreens may be more dangerous than you think, combining navigation, climate, and entertainment into one hub, but taking drivers' eyes off the road in the process. Over in Japan, empty rice paddies and fewer farmers highlight a growing agricultural crisis, one that experts say could be eased with stronger support and policy action. And in India, vegetarianism isn't just about food. It's a complex marker of tradition, identity, and social hierarchy, carrying messages of both cultural pride and exclusion.
Mysterious drones are back, first spotted in February. New sightings near Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey show unusual flight patterns and coordinated movements. UNN Field Messenger Amy brings us the latest on these strange aerial activities.
Hi, Amy reporting for UNN from Morris Plains, New Jersey. Earlier this year, I reported on the mysterious drones flying over Picatinny Arsenal, a U.S. military and manufacturing facility in Morris County. The workers at Picatinny were concerned for their safety, thinking this military base could be a target. What you are seeing now is footage from a year ago. No definitive reason was given for these drones that everyone was aware of, and eventually the story just went away, and that was that. Well, fast forward 10 months later, they're back. Today, while I was visiting with a friend, we saw that the drones were back and we were able to capture some footage. And my friend told me that she remembers the drones back as of September 12th was her first sighting. And she's been seeing them every night at about 8:30 or so when she goes out to walk her dog. They tend to be heading in a westerly direction, and that's where Picatinny Arsenal is, a little bit west of where we are in Morris Plains. There's usually the small ones come first, and then she would see a bigger one. And tonight we were able to see the bigger one as well. She has seen maybe 4 a night when she is out there, and it's just really weird because there's been nothing in the news about it. Yet she's been seeing these since September 12th, and we were able to see them tonight. So I don't know what's going on, but the drones are back. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Greece has recently introduced a controversial new law called Fair Work for All, allowing private sector employers to extend workdays to 13 hours, sparking widespread debate. The government claims the reform will address labor shortages and boost economic growth, particularly in tourism and agriculture. However, workers are protesting, expressing concerns over work-life balance, health risks, and the ongoing cost of living crisis. This isn't the first time Greece has implemented such a policy. Last year, the country introduced a voluntary 6-day work week for private businesses in sectors like tourism that provide around-the-clock services. This move allows people to work up to 48 hours a week, up from 40. However, this is in a country that already had the longest work weeks in the European Union at nearly 40 hours, according to Eurostat. significantly more than Germany's 34 or the Netherlands' 32. In fact, a 2024 Eurostat survey shows Greece has the highest percentage of people in the EU working long hours. These extended hours are not necessarily matched by higher pay or job security. Greece's national minimum wage is still among the lowest on the continent, and its unemployment rate is higher than the EU average.
Breaking news, Greece plans to legalize a 13-hour workday for 6 days a week. Yeah, 13 hours a day, because apparently sleep is for socialists. The government calls it flexibility. You can now voluntarily work longer, up to 13 hours or 37 days a year, because nothing says progress like turning burnout into a business model. They say it helps workers combine multiple jobs under one employer. Unions say it's basically legalizing overwork in a country that already has some of the lowest wages in Europe. And sure, it's technically optional, but when your boss asks, hey, can you do 13 hours tomorrow? Let's be honest, that's not a question, that's a threat with a smile. While most of Europe is debating 4-day work weeks, Greece just said, hold my frappe, we're going the other way. So what do you think? Do you think this is modern flexibility for the private sector, or this is giving more 19th century labor law vibes?
Given this context, it's no surprise labor unions have condemned the law as a violation of basic labor rights that allows for employer abuse. They argue the planned 13-hour workday and other parts of the bill will lead to burnout, harm workers' negotiating power, and further deregulate labor conditions. The law has already sparked 2 general strikes in October. Thousands of workers in Athens went on strike, shutting down public transport, schools, courts, and hospitals, disrupting public services. Sure, the new law lets some workers pick up longer shifts and earn extra money, which sounds good on paper, but in reality, it could mean more exhausting days, less time to rest, and barely any room for family or personal life.
We are here for our own lives, to state that working time is not a commodity, that we will not work from dawn to dusk to increase the profits of industries, that we are human beings. We have rights, we have lives, we have families, we have children.
They want us to work from sunrise to sunrise. They want flexibility in the 13-hour day and in overtime, unpaid overtime with fewer insurance contributions, which means losses for insurance funds. It's a bill that should not pass.
Unions demand the bill's withdrawal, a reduction of the work week from 40 to 35 hours, higher pay, and restored collective bargaining. They think the reform could weaken worker protections, especially with limited labor inspections. Voluntary overtime risks becoming mandatory, effectively ending the 8-hour workday. Critics warn longer hours often reduce productivity and quality, a significant concern given the country's existing long workdays and low output. The new law has passed and will roll out soon, but how it actually plays out depends on how employers choose to use the 13-hour day option. Workers will find out pretty quickly whether saying no to those long shifts is truly their choice, or if there's pressure behind the scenes. There's still a lot up in the air, like whether the 37-day limit will really stick, and if rules around rest and weekly hours will actually be enforced.
Following the US federal government shutdown, Medicare no longer covers certain telehealth services, affecting patients nationwide. UNN Field Messenger Candace shares her personal experience with these changes.
Hi, I'm Candace, Field Messenger reporter for UNN News, coming to you from Jasper County, Missouri. I want to tell you that today's report is about the government shutdown and Medicare. On October 1st, the U.S. government shut down about the same time as I received my annual Medicare benefits book. For the 2026, many counties in America, including mine, are now going to offer vision, dental, and health in the same plan as they have for a decade. And I noticed in my benefits book on page 51 that it says that those people who have been getting telehealth beginning on October 1st would not be allowed to unless they had very serious problems. I did call my insurance agent at that point, and he didn't know anything about the federal government shutdown was supposed to affect Medicare or his Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance plan. He said, call Anthem Blue Cross themselves and ask them if they would pay for telehealth or not. Now, this must have been in the works a long time, and it was just coincidental that the government shut down the same time as the benefits would shut down. So I talked to the man on the phone, and he just came back with, we just don't know. On October 9th, I called my doctor's office from my countryside home to schedule my normal telehealth visit like my Anthem Medicare Advantage insurance has been paying for since 2022. The scheduler was all excited and exclaimed, no one has been allowed telehealth since October 1st, if on Medicare. Well, I replied, but I'm not on Medicare. I have Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. So she scheduled me for a telephone call from the doctor's office for 4 p.m. This has been Candace reporting for UNN.
They're everywhere in new cars. Big, glossy touchscreens that promise convenience, but may actually be putting drivers at risk. It makes the interior feel like a spaceship. Lets manufacturers ship one piece of hardware across many models, and on paper, centralizes navigation, audio, climate, and phone into a single place. The catch? Those shiny screens are asking drivers to look away from the road. And a growing pile of research, regulators, and even some car makers now say that's a real danger. For decades, cars relied on physical buttons and knobs that drivers could operate by feel, keeping their eyes on the road. But starting in the 2010s, inspired by the rise of smartphones and Tesla's sleek minimalist dashboards, automakers began replacing these tactile controls with large, multi-function touchscreens that consolidated audio, navigation, climate, and other functions into a single digital interface. And it's not just about looking good. Touchscreens also help manufacturers cut costs by replacing multiple knobs, buttons, and wiring with a single digital interface.
It actually costs a lot of money to engineer all of these buttons and switches and to have the wiring, because you've got to have wires that run to all of these different physical controls. Doing the validation of all this, making sure that it's going to be durable over the life of a car. Doing all of that in software is a lot cheaper.
But it's also what people have come to expect.
For customers, it used to be you get into your car, you hit all the right buttons, right? You turn your radio on and off you go. That's not how it works for my kids, right? I mean, they are on their phone in the home, they get into the car, and a traditional car feels like 2 steps back in time.
Physical knobs and buttons let you find a control by feel without taking your eyes off the road. Touchscreens, not so much. Studies show using a big in-car screen is a visual-heavy task that can steal your attention for dangerous stretches of time. One well-known European test found entering a destination on a touchscreen took drivers an average of 15.7 seconds of looking away, a huge chunk of highway driving to be staring down. Even something as simple as changing the music or radio station often required 10 to 11 seconds of off-road glances. Safety researchers say numbers like that are way too long when you're behind the wheel.
Experts at the Transport Research Laboratory, TRL, have been studying the way tech distracts drivers for years. Back in the day, they calculated that using a handheld phone slows your response time by as much as half a second, increasing your stopping distance at 70 miles an hour by 15 meters. That's the difference between having a crash and not having a crash. Even using a hands-free phone isn't that much better. That increases your stopping distance by over 12 meters. And these findings were instrumental in changing the laws around mobile phone use in the car. But since 2002, when this research was carried out, phones and in-car technology have changed beyond recognition. With some of these cars, I feel like they're forcing people to look away from the road just to do basic things. You want to adjust the heating in some cars, you've got to look away, press 3, 4, 5 buttons before you can set the temperature that you want. There is no button for heating in a lot of new cars. It's all inside the screen.
We all know staring at your phone while driving is a no-go. Most countries have laws against it. But here's the thing. Those rules usually don't cover the giant touch screens built right into your car. In the U.S., hands-free laws stop you from holding your phone, but they don't stop you from fumbling through your touchscreen menu. Down under in Australia, it's the same story. Mobile phones are a no-no, but swiping through your climate controls, totally legal. Around the world, governments are starting to wake up to the problem. The European Union is rolling out rules for new cars to include safety features designed to reduce distractions from all those fancy screens. Canada has even put together guidelines for how car makers should design displays to keep drivers' eyes on the road. And manufacturers apparently, well, they're getting the message. After years of touchscreen dominance, car makers are starting to realize that sometimes you just can't beat a good old-fashioned button.
Volkswagen finally decided to go back to real buttons instead of touchscreen buttons. If you've been in a car made in the past few years, you probably noticed that just trying to change the temperature feels like you're solving a puzzle. Every year they try to move another button to the touchscreen. But all we really want is one of these. We just want to be able to change the temperature with a little knob while we go down the highway and not have to look at a screen. Luckily, Volkswagen listened to the complaints, and the CEO said, "We will never ever make this mistake anymore. On the steering wheel, we will have physical buttons. No guessing anymore. There's feedback, it's real, and people love this. Honestly, it's a car."
Touchscreens may look futuristic and sleek, but behind the glossy panels is a real safety trade-off. They demand drivers' attention, slow reaction times, and create a distraction that physical buttons never did. The good news is that the industry is starting to listen. More and more cars are bringing back tactile controls for the basics, proving that sometimes the old ways are the safest ways.
Amino acids play a vital role in maintaining your overall health and well-being. Not enough amino acids and protein daily can result in brain fog, hormone imbalances, digestive issues, cognitive function, lack of energy, lower immunity, decreased muscle strength, and much more. That's why we created our amino acid complex, packed with 21 free-form, easily digestible aminos that skip the breakdown and go straight to work energizing your mind and body. Used by athletes, vegans, and high performers. New Earth's amino acid complex helps your mind and body recover, rebuild, and renew daily. Subscribe now and optimize your life.
Hello, I'm Susan from Sweden.
Mwanda Michael from Eastern Uganda, Africa.
Hi, I'm Tim from Vancouver, Canada.
I'm Titeshwar Thavdao from Manipur State, India. I'm Gumba Obasi from Southeast Nigeria.
Arnaito Chakrini from Western Uganda, Mbarara.
At United Network News, you are the news.
My name's Christina, field messenger, report first one in the hurricane down here in Southern California from Mexico.
Real people reporting real stories from all around the world. At UNN, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Jason from United Network News. We're going to be doing some aircrete building with new technologies that allow us to live in comfort and also off the grid.
Take the next step in changing the way the world gets the news. Become a UNN field messenger today.
I am Michelle from South Africa, and we are the United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
If it is going to be, then it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Si va a ser así, depende de mí. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN.
In Saitama, Japan, UNN Field Messenger Kazaki shows how empty rice paddies and fewer farmers reflect a growing agricultural crisis, one that could be solved with better support and political will.
Hello, this is Field Messenger Kazaki reporting for UNN from Saitama District, Japan. 現在は9月半ば、東京にほど近い水田地帯にやってまいりました。稲もたわわに実り、もう間もなく刈り取りが行われると思われます。そして現在私が立っておりますこちらの場所、いわゆる休耕地と言われる場所となります。日本政府が行ってきた減反政策というのは、米が過剰に生産されて値崩れするのを防ぐために水田を減らそうという試みで、2018年には一応終了しています。しかし、昨年から今年にかけての日本の米不足と米価格の高騰のことを考えると、なぜ今年も休耕地のままにしておくのだろうとつい思ってしまいます。政府やマスコミ、識者は米不足の原因を過去の減反政策や農家の高齢化、収益性の低さなど構造的問題のせいとしています。日本の農業従事者は2000年の240万人と比べると、2023年には116万人とほぼ半減しています。平均年齢も60代の後半で、農家では後継者不足が深刻化しています。たとえ若い人が先祖から受け継いだ農地を耕して農業を続けていきたいと思っても、労苦や費やされる時間、エネルギーに見合った収入が得られず、諦めざるを得ないのです。過去にも農家の所得を保障する試みはありましたが、結局は予算不足、その他の理由で十分な効果は得られず、国民は農家のいわゆる構造的問題は解決不可能なように思い込まされています。でも私にはこれは目くらましにしか思えません。レーダーやミサイル、その他の武器の代金としてアメリカに支払う8兆円の軍事費のうちの1兆円を自国の農家に振り向けるだけで、日本の農業が復活することを日本政府は絶対に知っていると私は思います。しかし政府はそれをしようとせず、財政赤字と構造的問題を口実に問題を先送りし続けます。私の友人で農業を続けていくための必要に迫られて、自然農法を試みようとした人がいます。彼は結果、村中から攻撃を受けて農業を続けていくことができなくなりました。周囲の人々が目指す方向とは、農業の継続ではなく農地の売却であり、政府が企む大規模な集約農法への転換に同調することだったのです。その先にあるのは大企業による農業の独占です。それは当然コスパ重視の名目で大量の農薬が使われる遺伝子操作された種子を使った稲作ということになるでしょうし、しかもその大企業はほぼ間違いなく外国資本です。これらの事象の背後にはやはり中国の存在があります。おかしなことに仮想敵国に対する牽制と防衛のために湯水のように軍事費を使う日本政府は、見方を変えれば自国の農業をその当の仮想敵国に売り渡すために軍事費を使い続けているということになります。短い時間で日本の農業問題のすべてを語ることはできません。しかし私は農業従事者の所得の問題が解決されれば、日本の国の農業問題は解決されると信じています。繰り返しになりますが、そのためには軍事費の8分の1の予算があれば十分なのです。昨今の米不足と価格高騰の本当の原因は農業の構造的問題ではなく、日本の政治と政府の構造的問題なのです。
This is Field Messenger Kazaki reporting for UNN from Saitama District, Japan. Thank you for watching.
From ancient spiritual traditions to modern social politics, vegetarianism in India is far more than just a food choice. It's woven into ideas of purity, identity, and status. So much so that what you eat often signals where you sit in the social hierarchy. But this signaling can also carry a hidden message of exclusion and privilege. To understand why food carries so much weight in India, it helps to look at where it all began. Vegetarianism has deep roots in religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, all of which promote kindness and nonviolence toward living beings. Eating a meat-free diet became a way to live out those values and stay spiritually pure. However, studies show while vegetarianism is common among many upper caste Hindus, plenty of them still eat meat occasionally. In fact, a 2021 Pew Research Center survey shows around 40% of Indian adults identify as vegetarian. Yet the National Family Health Survey from the same year found nearly 80% of Indians between 15 and 49 consume some form of meat. This gap between perception and reality shows India isn't as vegetarian as it's often portrayed.
Post 1860, when the British basically imposed vegetarianism because they made meat very expensive because of what we call the license Raj. Everything became, you needed a license to hunt, you needed a license to fish, and therefore the meat couldn't be offered in temples as prasad, as holy food. So at that particular point in time, that's when sort of vegetarian becomes mainstream in Indian culture. And that's when we have this, it's not just the diet, like the whole myth, the whole legend, the whole story changes. Suddenly we were vegetarians since the beginning of time. Suddenly vegetarianism was the most healthy way to eat. When in fact, like 20 years before that, but vegetarianism was not common. Let's put it that way.
Beyond religious and statistical realities, vegetarianism in India also has deep roots in caste-based discrimination. This division still exists today, with vegetarianism being associated with wealth, education, and social status. Vegetarianism can be problematic when it's used as a caste label or a tool for exclusion. Treating it as morally superior can stigmatize non-vegetarians, often targeting marginalized castes as inferior. Everyone has different dietary needs, and pressuring people to conform can limit their choices or even their access to food. When food practices become politicized, like beef bans or social pressure to avoid meat, caste, class, religion, and diet collide, creating tension and discrimination.
So do you want to live in an inclusive society? You can't create an inclusive society through exclusion. So this politician said, I want to unite India. Bharat is being broken. I want to unite everybody. But his canteen only has vegetarian food, which means 80% of Indians are outside. The tribal communities are told you cannot eat your food. So Nagaland people eat all kinds of food. People from Nagaland, Mizoram, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, they love to eat their pork, they love to eat their beef, but they will not be allowed into your kitchen. So you have excluded them. The Bhils, the Gonds, think about all those people. They eat whatever was there in the forest. You are telling that they are lesser than you. That's how caste functions. So Indians, Sanatan Dharm's dark side is caste system. So its caste is across, anybody who lives in India, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, doesn't matter. Caste is important. And that doesn't go away with religion. That's a unique feature of Bharat.
In the past decade, India's been buzzing with debates about what people should or shouldn't eat. Food habits vary regionally. Northern Hindi-speaking states tend to be more vegetarian, while the South and Northwest are largely meat-eating. In many northern areas, rules limiting meat consumption have become more common, especially in schools, temples, and during festivals. Recently, a district in Kashmir even banned meat, seafood, and eggs in schools, saying it was to promote social harmony and respect everyone's food choices. But that decision stirred up plenty of criticism, with many arguing it's a hit to personal freedom and inclusivity. Similar restrictions are affecting daily life in cities across the country, even among vegetarians.
Let's talk more about vegetarianism and caste. Vegetarians and vegans exist everywhere in the world. They're in America, they're in Europe. But Indian vegetarians have some peculiar tendencies. First off, they are not vegetarians, they're pure vegetarians. They associate purity with vegetarianism. And by extension, they imply being a non-vegetarian is somehow impure. They also have the sense of moral superiority, that I'm better than you because I'm a vegetarian and you are somehow inferior or uncivilized because you eat non-veg. And this superiority and this purity goes to the extent where they insist on using different utensils and spoons when they have food. Like, you could be eating non-veg food and you could have a veg dish on the same plate. These vegetarians would not even have that vegetarian food just because they feel that the plate, because of it has non-veg, it's completely impure. Like, look, if you're doing it for the love of animals and you don't want to harm animals, what does it matter if the plate has non-veg in some other side? You're not doing it based on love for animals, you're doing it as a sense of purity which extends to the point, it extends to untouchability. Untouchability has casteist roots. Now this untouchability goes to the point they are not even renting out their own apartment if the tenant happens to be a non-vegetarian. This happens in cities as big as Bombay and Delhi, where there are these vegetarian landlords who insist that we only want a vegetarian tenant. Like, dude, if you're talking about morality and you're talking about animal love, how did these aspects come into it?
Vegetarianism in India is a rich, layered phenomenon that blends ethics, religion, culture, and social structure. While there's nothing wrong with choosing a vegetarian lifestyle and honoring nonviolence, it becomes problematic when it's used to mark, stigmatize, or exclude whole groups of people. A more inclusive food culture would mean respecting different diets as valid choices, rather than letting them reinforce old hierarchies.
Now it's your turn. Join our weekly meetings and become a field messenger. More information is available at our website, unitednetwork.earth. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.